So are you ready to enjoy the training?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. I already mentioned that William is the one who's going to be giving us this training. But who is William? William has been a member of our club for over 11 years now. And during 8 of those years, he's been very active in speaking contests. Competitions we have within our club, but then also against other clubs, and even clubs from other countries. So how did he do in those contests? He actually won the national championship 10 times. So he knows a thing or two about what it's like to speak in front of an audience, and also a much bigger audience. Now tonight, he's going to share with us from his journey. And looking back on his life, one of his biggest regrets is that he avoided public speaking until he was 32. Seeing how much it has helped him ever since kind of makes him wish that he would have started earlier. He would have done things differently when he was younger. So tonight he's going to share with us why public speaking is a superpower, but also the biggest factor that actually limits most of us from accessing that superpower, from making that our own. So let's hear more from the man himself. Let's give William a warm welcome.
Thanks very much. It's good to see you guys. It's nice to have a few people here. It is a superpower, but the question is, why is public speaking a superpower? I can tell you from my life experience, having not done it like Peter said, and you're doing it now, that it makes a lot of difference in your life. Public speaking will change you. It will change your life, and you will have the opportunities through it to change the world. That's why it's a superpower. It can change everything in your life. You can have much impact on people. And you know what? That didn't even dawn on me until I was in my 30s, okay? Like I said, I just avoided it because I was so afraid. So it's just something that never crossed my mind, because many people talk about how important public speaking is. And we're going to look at quotes from 3 people, and I'm going to ask you guys to help me to say the quotes, okay? So here's the first one. This is Renee Dillon. Jasmine, would you mind sharing her quote there? Just say it.
Learning how to become an effective public speaker can be the key difference between success and failure in your life at home, at work, and in your own community.
She is an entrepreneur, she's a writer, she's an author. She started a program for kids called Genius Kids, and it's for kids up to 6 years old, and a big part of their curriculum is public speaking. That's how important she thinks it is. So for kids alone, she's teaching them public speaking. That's amazing. Now this person you might know, okay? You know Warren Buffett? Gregors, can you go ahead and read that for us?
Yes. You can improve your value by 50% just by learning communication skills, public speaking. Warren Buffett.
All right. Now, you know, him and I have things in common, but it's not being rich and famous. Okay? It's not that. But he also, when he was young, he was petrified about speaking in front of people. When he was 19, he took a public speaking course from Dale Carnegie, and he says that that course changed his life, and he owes a lot of his success to having overcome his public speaking fears. And then there's someone else who probably most people know, Tony Robbins. Alex, would you go ahead and say?
The quality of your communication determines the quality of your life.
So understand that that's true. Those who avoid public speaking lower the quality of the life they could have had. That's what I saw from my life. And so I really strongly encourage you, don't let the fears, don't let things hinder you. I'll show you how to work through them in a little bit. So let's start looking at how it can change you. How does public speaking change you? You become confident in what you're doing. Then after that, if you become confident and you feel comfortable in front of people, what happens? You become very confident, and you can get in front of people, and that confidence comes across to people, correct? When you are a confident and competent speaker, people see you as being credible. If not, Okay, just imagine, have you guys ever heard someone do a speech or get up in front, even especially professors or someone who's an expert, and they just are terrible speakers, right? Have you ever had that before? Do they impress you with their knowledge and skills if they can't speak? No. Okay. Thank you.
It's not the best setup, sorry, but
No, that's okay. Thank you very much. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. So we talk about competent, right? Being a competent makes you a competent speaker, and that gives you confidence, and that makes you a credible speaker. People will listen to you. And not only does it make you credible, but this quote by this guy, they did a study on people who come across confident when they speak, and they found out what people think of them. And here's the quote. Alex, can you go ahead and read that? That's by Peter Curry.
according to a study published by the University of Wolverhampton, a highly confident speaker is viewed as being more accurate, competent, credible, intelligent, knowledgeable, likable, and believable than the less confident, uncertain speaker.
And we came early to take care of all this stuff. This is life, right? This is the way life goes sometimes. So sorry again. So yes, look at the things he says. You come across not only as more accurate, credible, intelligent, knowledgeable, likable, and believable. So if you work at your public speaking to where you feel confident, it's going to have a huge impact in your life. Okay? And that's why I say, for me, I could say the biggest difference I felt once I could speak well was the confidence I felt. And not only does it affect your speaking, but it also affects other areas of your life, because once you can speak in front of people, you get the confidence to go do other things. Like, you know, for me, I used to be, let's say at a big event, I'd be the guy hiding in the back, not really talking to people, you know, at a networking event. Anybody like that, where you kind of stay behind? But after I got better, it's, man, I'm just up there talking to everybody. So it can change all kinds of your life. Right? So let's think about it. How can it change your life in different ways? Well, first of all, it gets you noticed. When you speak well, it gets you noticed. People say, look at that. And that provides you with opportunities. If they see that you're good, then people are going to ask you to speak. And with opportunities come many benefits. And we'll talk about a few of them. And I'm going to give you an example of someone I know who's a good friend of mine, and how speaking changed his life. So you get noticed. Okay, most of the people in life, they're sitting there, if they're afraid, you're in a business, you're working for some team manager or something like that, and they're asking you guys questions, and you're kind of just keeping really quiet because you're kind of shy about talking. Will you ever get noticed? No. It's the person who gets up there and starts talking and is open to get up and speak in front of people. The people in management are going to notice that, and it's going to provide you with some opportunities. So opportunities to speak not only help you in what you do as far as life, but you make personal contacts with lots of people, make connections. It helps you in your personal life as well as in business. And the benefits that I've seen for people, mainly, they have got advancement in the jobs they had, and they got more income. Now here's a friend of mine. This is John. He also goes by Pavel. He's the manager of this Leroy Merlin in Bacau, right? He's the manager there. 12 years ago, he was working for the store in Bucharest, the Leroy Merlin there. And he was head of a department, I think carpeting, I'm not really sure, I can't remember. But one day, the bosses from France came to their store, and every department had to give a presentation on their department. Well, guess what? Most of them did very bad. They were nervous and shaking. But Jean has had a lot of experience speaking in front of people. And he did a very good job with his presentation. The bosses from France were so impressed that they put him in management training because of that. But there was one thing he had to take care of before he could actually get a position. You know what that was? He had to get his high school diploma. He didn't have his high school diploma yet. Okay? So think about that. He didn't have the grades, but he had the ability to speak, and they saw that, and they put him into management. So he got his diploma, and now he's a store manager. That's an amazing story. And he tells you, I would tell people about this, he goes, Yeah, I tell people all the time about this. He's amazed as well. That just being able to speak made a huge difference in his life. So, how does public speaking change the world? Well, it's through the person speaking, of course, right? But through speaking, you can impact and influence others to change their thinking, to change their actions, to change their lives. And when you get people to change like that, you end up changing the world. If you get one person to change something in their life, you've actually changed the world. Right? Because they've changed, and then they're going to change other people. They're going to have contacts with other people, and they're going to change them. So whenever you change one person, you change the world. Of course, some people change the world in big terms, right? Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King. None of these men had power, like authority or control. How did they change the world? With their words. So we can change the world. But let me ask you, have any of you listened to anybody and what they said to you changed you in some way? Has that ever happened to you? Can you think of a change in your life from listening to somebody? Okay, come on.
Well, I really enjoyed the speech of Mohammed Khatani, The Power of Words. I think I've watched it at least 50 times. And it speaks about the fact that you can change somebody's life with your words. The words you say and the way you say them.
Anyone else? Have you been impressed by someone who spoke and made changes in your life? Peter?
For me, the TED Talks by Sir Ken Robinson on education and how the education system is impacting our children. They really have they influenced me, and they made me think about how to raise my own children and what to look for in school.
So we see, public speaking is a superpower, right? So why make it your superpower? Because it will change you, it will change your life, and you will change the world. That is why you should make it your superpower. But the question is, what is the biggest challenge for most people in making public speaking their superpower? What's the biggest challenge for most people? Dealing with the fear, anxiety, and nerves that come up as you get ready to speak. Like for me, remember I said, you know what, when I was in graduate school, working on my master's, the first time I had to give a speech in class, I didn't do it. You know why? Because the night before, I spent most of the night going back and forth to the toilet throwing up. Okay, that's how severe my fear was. Right? But I got really motivated to do public speaking in the class because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't get my master's. Okay, so I was forced to. And you know what happened? After doing it 3 or 4 times, it started getting a little bit easier. Shock! I never thought about that. And it got easier and easier. And eventually, I no longer had a serious fear of public speaking. But then when I was competing in contests, one time our district, which used to be really big, it had 18 countries. And I was competing in a contest, doing a speech in front of 300 to 400 people. Okay? The anxiety really was intense. Okay? I really had a hard time with it, and I'll share a little bit more later. But that was so intense, and after I got done, I was really upset. I said, I should just quit. But then after a few days, I said, no, I'm not going to let this defeat me. And so I worked really hard. I did a lot of research about how to deal with performance anxiety and learned all these different techniques and put them to practice. And so I'm going to be sharing some of those with you. Okay? Now, why should you not avoid these things? Why should you not? Why should you embrace them? This quote, I think, really hits it for me, by Erwin McManus. Our fears establish the limits of our lives. Do you realize that? Our fears establish the limits of our lives. Any fear you have that you let control you, that puts a limit in your life. And if you get to my age, you might look back and regret those things. So don't let them hinder you that way. What do you want to do? If you face your fear, anxiety, and nerves, you know what's going to happen? You're going to increase your confidence. You're going to increase your courage. And then you're going to build your character. With confidence, then you get where you're more willing to take risks and do things that you don't know if you're really good at. So the confidence gives you the courage to do things that you wouldn't do before. Now courage, what is courage? Courage is doing action in the face of fear, right? If you get used to speaking in front of people, and that's a real big thing. And that can impact all kinds of areas of your life where you don't let fear stop you anymore. So you have the courage. And how does it build character? First of all, dealing with fear and overcoming it, that builds your character. But also, as you're learning to speak, you're going to fail. You're going to embarrass yourself at times. I have embarrassed myself in contests several times, okay? Really bad at times. But when you say no to quitting and you resolve to overcome that, doesn't that build your character? Doesn't that make you a stronger person? So these things are what can happen if you don't say no. So where do we start? Where do we start? How do we deal with this? Here's the secret. It's all about dealing with stress hormones. We have to learn how to deal with these. Because these are the things that bring the fear, anxiety, and nerves. So this is how we're going to, like cortisol and adrenaline. You know, a little bit of these things, a little bit of these, is a good thing. Too much of these is not a good thing. Because adrenaline, I would have that, like that time when I was competing in front of 300 or 400 people, my adrenaline was pumping so hard that my mouth got so dry that even after I took a drink, it was still dry. All right? And so you're trying to do a contest, okay? So I had to learn how to calm down in that kind of situation. I used to be a sports person, so I'm used to the adrenaline rush and being in sports. But speaking, you don't get to use your energy up like you do in sports. So you have to learn to calm down a little bit. So when you have these experiences with these things, what do they do to us, okay? They make us nervous, right? We get shaking with our voice, shaking with our bodies. What other ways do we react? What can you think of? Can you think of anything? No. Here's one I've had. Going blank. I've gone blank in contests. I get towards the ending, and I couldn't remember a thing, and I couldn't come up with the idea at the end. Okay? That's because the cortisol can affect your brain and have an impact that way with forgetting. And dry mouth, like I said, that was my worst one. And later I'll show you how I overcame that. So this is what we want to do. We have to learn to deal with these stress hormones. We want to move away from having these having the reactions because of them to having more happy hormones coming into our body. So they counter those other stress hormones. Serotonin, dopamine. These are examples. They make you feel happy, they give you joy, they reduce anxiety. So these are things you want to have more of. And so what do? How do we overcome the fear, anxiety, nerves? We want to decrease the stress hormones, and we want to increase the happy hormones. That's really what it comes down to, that, at least from my experience. So let's look at some of the things that help us to remove those stress hormones and have happy hormones. Preparation. You know, if you don't prepare for your speaking, you're going to be nervous right from the start because you're really not sure what you're going to say. Some people like to wing it all the time, but in a contest, sometimes it doesn't work. So here's the thing. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Okay. Say that really fast 3 times. Now, in this training, we're not going to deal with these things on how to prepare, you know, how to write a speech, how to deliver a speech. But I have a PDF of a handout that's going to be available to you. That's going to have links to resources that you can look online, and then some you can download to help you learn how to prepare a speech. So, but you know what? Preparing a speech, I was really prepared for my Toastmaster contest, but still was very stressed. And here's a secret I learned for me that really worked well. Call it situational practice. Now, most of the time when you're practicing your speech, where do you do it? Home alone, right? Then you get in front of a bunch of people. That's a little different. So when I've seen these things in these contests when you're in front of so many people, what I would do when I would go to these high-level contests is 2 weeks before, I would go to Bucharest, and I would go to 3 different clubs and practice my speech during that week. Then the week before, I would do trainings at IT firms here in town, and then practice my speech in front of them. And sometimes the trainings would be 60 people or so. So I may get opportunities to practice in front of people. The more, the better. And that's challenging. But if you're going to do a speech somewhere, try to get your friends, your family, your colleagues to listen to you practice. Because it's better if you have people in front of you than doing it by yourself. Also, when you go somewhere to do a speech, it's good to go and check out the place beforehand. Okay, if you get there early, you go check how it looks, you go up on the stage, wherever you look. That's what I would do for the speech contest. I'd get up on the stage beforehand, even the night before or early in the morning, look at how it's going to be. Then you also can make sure you have everything you need, and you can make sure the technology works. Sometimes even after you check it, it doesn't work, as we see today. But you go and check everything out ahead of time, and that gives you more calm before you start. And here's something else I found that was very helpful, is to meet and greet the people you're going to speak with. First time I did the training at Pentalog here in town. Does anybody here know the company Pentalog? I got there really early, got everything set up, checked out, and people started coming really early, like a half hour, 45 minutes before the training started. And so when I would go around is just talk to them. And I'd ask them, I said, how's public speaking for you? Oh, it freaks me out. So we would have little talks and I'd share some of my stories. And I got to know several of them. And so when I did the training, I already had some connections with people in the audience and I felt more comfortable because I had done that meet and greet ahead of time. Right? Now, the more opportunities you get to speak, especially in front of big groups, take advantage of that. Because here's the thing, okay, when I've done these big contests in front of lots of people, then I come back to our club or to the training here at an IT firm, and there's 30, 40 people. Ah, that's a piece of cake now. I don't have any intensity anymore. I'm not as scared about it anymore because I've experienced really intense situations, so other things seem pretty easy. So don't avoid hard things. Go through those hard things, even if you mess up, because they'll make other things seem a lot easier to you. Also, you could join Toastmasters. Okay? I was speaking before I joined Toastmasters, but Toastmasters really helped me a lot to get better, especially what? Competing in the contest. Lots of people in clubs will go, oh, I don't want to do that. That makes me scared and nervous. No, that's the best place to learn because you get in those situations where you have to really push yourself. And I was never more motivated to practice and to get everything ready ahead of time than it was for a contest. Just doing a speech in a club, I was still prepared, but for a contest, I really prepared, okay? So it motivated me a lot more. So now we're going to look at, those are like the speaking things, but there's some things that need to change kind of here in our minds, okay? And what are those changes that have to do? These are the things that are most effective, I found, okay? We have to change our mindset about certain things. We have to change our self-talk, and we have to change our actions. And so we'll look at it. It's like mindset. It's how we think about the world and ourselves. Right? So there are different mindsets we can have that can either contribute to us having stress hormones or having happy hormones. So what we need to do is we need to change our mindsets. We need to change our focus of how we look at things. And we're going to look at 4 of them today. Fixed versus growth. Have you guys all heard about this, right? Fixed mindset versus growth? Raise your hand if you've heard about this before. This is a big thing in the world now. But here's the thing. Before, I didn't realize I could become better at speaking. Okay? I had a fixed mindset. It wasn't until much later that I would come to realize that I could become better. And so when your mindset is that you can become better if you work at it, if you give it effort, then you will become better. But if you don't think you're going to ever get better, you're not even going to try. So that's a big mindset that needs to change. Right? Negative versus positive. You can look at everything, how bad everything is, how bad you are, or you can look at the good in all the situations. When I messed up in contest, at that moment, I just thought very negative. But later, it motivated me to do well. Even in doing some of this table talks. The first time that I ever did table talks in Toastmasters, I did terrible. Okay? Seriously. People say, oh, you've got to be kidding me. No, I was worse than most. I didn't even make it to a minute. Okay? So I sat down and I got very mad at myself. And so I resolved that I was going to get much better at it. And I worked really hard at becoming better and better. And then in the contest we had, I was a national champion 4 times in table topics and second once out of 8 years. Okay? What motivated me? Because I wanted to do better. So what we can do, most people are just saying, oh, I did terrible, and they just stop. Let that motivate you to pursue excellence, to become better. Okay, threat versus challenge. Does your mindset see adversity and failure as a threat, or does it see it as a challenge to overcome, an opportunity to grow? That's a mindset we can have. And I just went through to explain it. This is an important way to look at life. When I fail, when things are hard, is that an opportunity to grow? Yes. So go for it, even if you fail, because you learn through the failure as well. And there's one more, is the yourself versus audience. Here's what I mean. When you first start speaking in front of people, you know what you're thinking about? Yourself. How am I coming across? Do I impress the people? You know, you're thinking about all these things about yourself. And you know what? That actually adds more stress to your life. But after you've done it a few times and you get your focus off yourself and get your focus on what you can do for your audience, that starts creating some happy hormones. So changing that mindset, where your focus is when you're speaking. Self-talk, right? Our talk can lead to self-sabotage, or it can be self-encouraging. The words we say to ourselves in our inner voice have a huge impact on whether we have stress hormones or happy hormones. So what do most people, when they start thinking about speaking or they get ready to come up and speak? I'm nervous. I'm going to mess up. Everybody's going to laugh at me. Now tell me, does that create happy hormones? No. So talking like that is not good. How should we change it? You could be scared, you could be nervous, but you don't say it, I'm nervous. You know what you say? I'm excited. Right? Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to practice saying it, but I want to see how passionate you can say it. Right? I'll say it first, then I'm going to go like this, and you say it. Ready? I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Let's try that again. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Right? That's how you want it to be. You say, I get an opportunity to get out of my comfort zone. I get to face my fear. Think of it in positive terms. Use good words. How about at the end? I can remember the first time I got to an end of a contest, and it was like this. I'm never going to do this there. That really freaked me out. I was so nervous, okay? If you talk like that at the end, what's generally going to happen? You're not going to continue, right? So what do you want to say instead? That was great. Right? Well, let's try that, okay? I'll say, that was great.
That was great.
That didn't sound great to me. Let's try it again. That was great.
That was great.
Okay, that's how you want to be at the end. Because you know what? Even if you fail, you got up there and did it. That's made it great. You faced your fear. You got up there. Even if you mess up, you've done something. Right? The ones who sit down and do nothing, they're the ones that should be sad. Okay? You can create mantras to say to yourself that help you to focus your mind on positive things. And you can create your own mantras. Here's one that I came up with. I start, enjoy the moment. I'm saying this to myself inside. Enjoy the moment, speak from the heart, change the world. You can be very creative. You could come up with all kinds of mantras that you could say to yourself. You know, when I did competed humor speeches, what I'd change? I'd say, make them laugh, you know, have fun. So you can adapt them. So that's our look at the things we can change with our mindset, you know, with our words. Let's look at our self-talk. Let's look at how we can change our actions. Okay? First, exercise helps create happy hormones. You know that, right? It creates good hormones. Now, what happens if you don't have time to do some exercise before doing a speech? Here's something I learned from one of the competitors, is you can stand out in the hall and you can tense all your muscles up, everything, and count to 10, and then relax. Okay? I want everybody to stand up. Let's try this. Everybody stand up. So I want you to tense all your muscles, legs, arms, everything, and I'll count to 10. Ready? Tense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Now add one more thing. When you relax, take a deep breath and let it out slow. So we'll do it one more time. But this time at the end when I say relax, take a deep breath and then let it out slow. Okay? Ready? Tense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. That can help you in a situation where you need to do something real quick. Great, go ahead, sit down. Thanks. Visualization, how we visualize things. What do most people visualize? How they're going to mess up and what they're going to do wrong. That's creating the stress hormones. Visualize you succeeding. Visualize you having fun. It makes a big difference. Use music or nature sounds. Listen to that ahead of time. These are things that can calm your body down and create good hormones, happy hormones. Singing, like Alex, he's a singer, you know. He likes to sing. So singing, if we sing happy songs, they can help us to feel good before we go out. And here's one we can all do, just like Peter, is smiling. Did you know that smiling creates happy hormones? Did you know that? Yes, it does. It creates happy hormones. So when you smile, you're creating happy hormones. See, that's why you become more addicted to it. Right? And even more intense would be laughing. Laughing makes a big difference. When I competed in the humor speech contest, I would watch the other contestants, and I would laugh extra hard because I knew I'd create more happy hormones in my body. Okay. Now here's how I finally got over with my problem with the dry mouth. All those other things helped me, but getting to those highest levels, I still had problems. You know what? I got to the point where I was so determined that I never brought water up anymore when I competed in a contest, ever. Okay? And so I really had to deal with it. So what I found is that I'd chew a lot gum before the competition. It stimulates the saliva. And when I got up there, it seemed to do much better. So if you find yourself having that problem with dry mouth, try chewing some gum beforehand. Now the last thing is breathing. By far, this is the most effective thing I've ever experienced in calming myself down and being able to compete. So this is, we're going to look at, it's called the 4x4 or box breathing. It's done by the US Navy SEALs. And those guys are in very intense situations, right? And they use this technique to calm themselves down. Is where they breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. And you do that 3 or 4 times. But we're just going to practice probably 1.5. So everybody stand up. Here we go. We're going to practice. All right. So remember, I said this is box breathing or 4x4. There are other techniques. If this doesn't work for you, research and you can find other ones. Okay. So I will say, and you guys just go ahead and do it. Okay. Ready? Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. And now I want to teach you one other one. See how? Just like, and I did this earlier, but I just want to reinforce it. Because sometimes you have to get up almost right away and speak. So I found this technique, I read on it, it's just this. that you should breathe in really fast, hold it just a second or two, and then let it out really, really slow. Okay? So let's try that. Ready? Inhale. Exhale, but take your time. Did you see a difference? Okay. They said that these things have the most impact. Okay, go ahead, sit down.
Maybe so.
Now we're going to move on to table topics. We're going to have some fun. You know what? I did this training with some students from Switzerland, Germany, and Romania. And every one of them came up and did it. And you could tell most of them were pretty afraid, okay? So I'm going to have Alex come up in a minute, but here's what I want you to think about. You're going to be called to come up here and talk about something. What I want you to do is, when you're called to come up, say in your mind, I'm excited, okay? I get an opportunity, I'm excited. Start smiling, come up, take a deep breath, right? And those are things you can do in situations where you have to speak right away. So, self-talk, smiles, and breathing. So Alex, come on up. Give him a hand.
And then I will give the stage. Not before, I want to congratulate you once more for all of you who came here in front and fought with your fear of public speaking. And for that, I want to give you a big round of applause. The stage belongs to Mr. William. Welcome back, William.
Thank you. As we come to the end of our training, remember, when it comes to fear, anxiety, and nerves, do not let them limit you. Do not let them limit you. See them as challenges to overcome and as opportunities for growth. If you do, you will increase your confidence, you will increase your courage, and you will build your character. So, make public speaking your superpower. It will change you, it will change your life, and you will change the world. Whoops, I'm going to get ahead of myself. Back here. Okay, there we go. Okay. So this is the thing. Go for this. Go for it. Change your life. Don't let this limit you. If you do, you're not going to live the life you could. So I have a call to action to make to you. There are going to be 2 things I want you to download. First, a copy of the slides with my notes added. It's a PDF. And I would really encourage you, what you had today, if you go home, you will get a little bit out of it. But if you go and review and think about these things and chew it in your mind, you'll get much more out of the training. So do that, download that, and then download this Getting Started in Public Speaking. Again, it has links to online resources and things to download, and at the very end, there are links to articles about things we covered today so that you can learn more from other people's perspective. And so I encourage you to do that. For those who are members, I will put it in our WhatsApp group. And for all those who are guests, Peter's going to send it in an email to you. So if you have not given Peter your email, if you registered and you give your email, he'll have that. He'll send it to you. Otherwise, if you haven't done that, then give your email address and give your contact information. So I want to thank you today for giving me an opportunity, this opportunity to change the world, because I get to change you. So here's what I encourage you to do. Go forwards, speak, and see what happens with your life. Enjoy the journey. Thank you. Mr. Toastmaster.